we bringing a special old time guest to the format from our listeners to enjoy the dog game through his history and through his experience. Now, who we got on the phone today?
Lester Noonie Phillips.
Okay, how you doing, Mr. How you doing, Mr. Phillips?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Okay.
I hope you and your family, everybody, doing well today.
We're trying to make the best of it.
I could dig that. I could dig that. So let's go. Let's move it forward in reference to the dogs. What year you got started in the American Pit Bull Terrier?
I would say like 86. I mean 76.
Oh, okay. 1976. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the first dog you had then? Do you remember how it was bred?
Well, back then, especially in Detroit, you didn't see any pit bulls really. But you may see a staff every now and then, but they basically the only person that was breeding dogs up this way was the McCoy line, the loss from the old Nibley blood.
Right.
That was basically all. And then people didn't concentrate on papers back then. You had a bulldog, pit bull. You just had a pit bull.
Right. Well, you said 76. That year. The following year, I think it was 77. I got introduced to the Dobermans through a movie called The Doberman Gang. You familiar with that movie?
That's got to be strange because that's how I started in the dogs with Dobermans.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that was one of my favorite movies as a kid, man. The Doberman Gang. If y'all get a chance, you younger cats, Google that, the Doberman Gang.
I remember the movie. I used to love Dobermans. But
yeah.
To a friend of mine let a Staffordshire loose on my Doberman, and she broke camp. I said, I got to have one of them.
Oh, so she curled out, huh?
Yeah, ran off the block.
Oh, okay.
I said, I got to have one of them because I embarrassed the hell. I thought my Doberman was the baddest. Had the female in the country.
Yeah, man. They was definitely, like I said, I thought they were awesome dogs until I see my first pit bull, and that's when I was like, oh, wow, I got to have me one of those. Same thing back then. So, so who were, in reference to the prominent dogmen around that time in your area, who were some of the main notable ones back then?
Well, basically, the first notable dogman that I come in contact with and met was Ozzie Stevens.
Okay.
We matched into him with a crossbred Nibbit dog that we thought was a world beater. And we went up to his place, and I guess probably was the son of Homer, and we did it right outside in the backyard, outside. He had a pit set up, and the dog he had was beating the hell out of him. I mean, we just said, here we go, beat Ozzie Stevens. Next thing I know, he done cleared the pit. He let go. The Homer dog was just so persistent. He couldn't fight, but he was, he real aggressive, And the dog we had, he wasn't having it. He jumped over the wall. And what was so funny about it, Ozzie let us bring the dog back in and see if he would continue. But he was done.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you said Ozzie. That's Ozzie Stevens? He was okay. So what were more of your notable wins over, if you could recollect, with certain dogs you might have sought out that had a reputation?
Well, me and Daryl, we was whooping all the dogs up this way that I mean, up in Flint. That's how I met McNasty.
Oh, okay.
And I beat one of his champions.
That's McNasty from Roadblock Kennels.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was just getting in the dogs when I met him. He was new to the game, but
right.
He was all McNasty always. Me and him never really got along.
Right. So speaking of them, just to you brought the name up. Did you ever get a chance to see Grand Champion Joey go?
No, I never seen. A friend of mine told me, like I say, me and him didn't really get along, so I was never invited to his show. But I, much as I disliked him as a man,
Right.
I heard Joey was a decent dog. I didn't like his breeding, but they say he was a good dog.
Okay, so I guess you got that information from some notable dogmen that you might have been an acquaintance.
Yeah, Nasty. He was popular with a lot of the guys up in Detroit, like True Colors. He hanged around with Nasty for a minute. He seen Joey. A lot of them that seen Joey go.
Okay.
In the early days with Joey, McNasty was kicking fights with him, but a lot of times guys in the early days, with a dog there, you more or less grow with the dog. As the dog do better, you have more confidence in it.
Right.
Yeah, and he started going. But I seen that Tex fight on video.
Oh, that's his grand champion in Texas?
Yeah.
Right, he was a grand champion before he went into Joey.
Yeah.
Okay. So and you brought up True Colors. What's your relationship with True Colors? That's Tony Rogers, right? Rest in peace.
I was his mentor. He got his first dog, his very first dog from me.
Okay.
And he was off of my Napoleon dog, which was off of Snooty and Hannah-Pat.
So I seen you. All right, you went away from the McCoy stuff, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, first chance I got, I ran from it. See, I was dirt poor during that time, man. I didn't have no money to spend for those dogs, but I had a friend that he had the money to buy the dog, so he would buy everything that Andre bred, Andre Giroux. Everything that he bred, he had pups off of him. He bought pups off of him. Tried some of Giroux's grown dogs. He tried to buy a Patty, the Boomerang, off Boomerang. But
for the listeners that's not aware, that's Andre Giroux from Canada, the one that owned Champion Carlos. Didn't he own Grand Champion? He owned Hank at one time also, right? Grand Champion Hank.
That's who my dog was off of when he bred it. The one I went into Luther with, he was off of Hank and Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And did you have a personal relationship with Andre?
We talked. We talked a lot on the phone.
Okay. So you would consider yourself more of a conditioner? I mean, a breeder, more or as a competitor, or a little bit of both?
Both, because I didn't breed for the public. I bred for myself, but I didn't. I would have to like the breeding that I was making, and I wasn't one to sell puppies. I'd give them away. Right. And then people were so envious. They wouldn't never buy no dogs from me. No way. Their goal was to beat me. They wasn't gonna buy no dogs from me.
Right.
So they buy dogs for everybody in the country to beat me, because at that time I was raising hell in the city.
Okay.
I was the first one to start traveling. Getting out of the backyard. A lot of guys stay in their hometown and they never get out the backyard.
Right. So I guess you're seeking out the tougher competition like that, huh?
I didn't care either way. It's just that I just was, man. If I had some dogs, I had to put them put them out there before I would think about breeding them.
Right.
I wasn't in it for the breeding. I was in it for the sport. But I knew how to make a good dog. I knew the concept of breeding. I knew, how to go about producing a good dog, even from bad dogs.
You just brought up an interesting point just now in reference to being into the dogs for the sports versus today. A lot of people, it's more based on money. It's not.
Definitely, and I've tried very hard to pull them out of the new cats and try to give them some knowledge. But they end up disrespecting you every time. So I'm not in that to be disrespected. I hear so many of them. They get, when I don't say what they want me to say, then I don't know what I'm talking about. I ain't never did shit and all that. So I don't have time for that. History knows what I've done in the dogs. I don't have to explain nothing to them.
I hear you. Well, yeah, that's why I got you on this interview to, so you could tell your side. And like I said, the game is going in a totally different direction.
Yeah, and eventually it will be no more game. I was just seeing where I guess some guys beat up Iron Man, Cody, Iron Man guy. What's his name?
Oh,
Troy.
Yeah, Troy. Right.
Yeah, and see, that's another guy. He gives his heart to try to help people, and because he have a little problem with his personal life, they want to downgrade it. I've been on both sides of the fence, dirt poor and filthy rich. So none of that helped. And the only difference is when you got the money, you can buy some dogs that you maybe couldn't buy before, but that don't make you good in the box. How much money you got. Certain things that come with time. It's just
and dedication too. Huh?
Yeah, and dedication. Man, I lived with dogs at one time. I had an upper flat, and it was full of dogs. You couldn't leave them outside because they were stealing. And and that's what fascinated my partner Daryl. Daryl, he come over he boxed for Kronk, and he would bring all Kronk fighters, Tommy Hearns, all on to my house because he had never seen a person like me. And he was just amazed. He would bring him up to my house. I got to let y'all meet this guy. And we became 50-year friends from that point.
Well, speaking on, just to let the audience know, when you say Kronk, you're speaking of Kronk Gym down in Detroit, where, like you said, I think Emmanuel Stewart trained there, was a trainer there, and Tommy Hearns and everybody came through there. So your partner, rest in peace. I seen you did a little piece on him. He just recently passed away. That was Daryl Chambers, right? The boxer, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, he looked there.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. I mean, I really am gonna miss him. But we became real close friends, and we started just doing a lot of doing the dog. He only had one dog, and that was the dog that I spoke on that I messed up his ears. And so we ended up getting him down the road. And what happened, I had the dog I went into Luther with. I had Grand Champion New York, which he was just a pup then. And I had, what else did I have? I had another Hank dog off of Hank and Pinky. I had some of Jerome's best stuff, some off Rocky. So the guy we just got close. Some guys I test them and see really what kind of people he is. If I just couldn't run him off.
Right. He kept coming back. He kept scratching, huh?
Yeah. Every time I look around, he at my door. I tell him to go to the bank and give me some money. He go to the bank, give me some money. I just couldn't get rid of him. And as time went on, we just developed a hell of a friendship. And then I ended up moving with him.
So how far did he go in his boxing career? Did he ever attain any titles? Like any?
Well, he fought on. He was professional 22 and 2. He fought on Haggard's and Hearns. Fought Carr. He was a hell of a fight. He dislocated his shoulder, and that kind of matched his professional career. He won all kind of amateur titles. He went up, been all around the world fighting with Poland, Russia, everywhere.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Well, I wouldn't say funny, but the fact that you bring that up about the boxers and the bulldog, it's a picture from way back with Jack Johnson and Kobe. You know, and how the dogs and the boxes, the bulldogs and the boxes, it seemed like they one and the same because you got.
I mean, most boxers idolize pit bulls because of the courage.
Right. Exactly.
And this is what they strive to show in their sport. It's courage.
There was another boxer that was into the dogs, and his middle name was Pitbull. I forgot his name. his name is on the tip of my tongue. And then you have Roy Jones with the dogs, and I'm not sure how what his far as him.
They were just men with dogs. Roy Jones was not active,
right?
And what they did, Michael Vick, a lot of people good people got ruined and that shit. And that was his own cousin that sold him out.
Yeah.
So,
over something that didn't even have nothing to do with the dogs in the beginning.
Michael Vick wasn't doing nothing but putting up some money, and he liked to see the dogs. That's all he was. But he got pulled in and beat a bad. Well, that's how the government works, That's how my friend ended up doing 27 years, because he would see they did not want him. They wanted him to make up a story on Manuel Stewart and Tommy Hearns. Right. And by him refusing to do that, they said, "Well, you're going to do the rest of your life in jail," and gave him a life sentence.
And and the reason why, from what I've researched, the reason why they wanted him to make up the story on Tommy Hearns and Manuel Stewart, because their association with the street guy was a Maserati Rick. Right.
But he wasn't. Manuel he used to come by our house all the time, borrow money or get money, because his wife would be on him so tough he could get the money like he wanted to. So he would come and get money from Daryl, Maserati, all of it. That's all the man was doing. He wasn't doing anything else. But all of the money that Manuel would make, he had to count for that, because his wife didn't let him get away with it. Because they know his wife knew what he would do, mess it up.
Right. And Emmanuel Stewart, didn't he train Lennox Lewis, right, at one time, right? Yeah.
And in the later years, Daryl was in jail by that time. But another fighter that they don't talk about, when he was real close to Daryl and me, and that was Stevie McCurry. He won the gold medal, for crime.
Right. Now back to the dogs again. When you said Luther, was that Struthers Grand Champion Luther?
Yeah.
And you when you went into, you lost. Well, he's a grand champion. Oh, but the dog. Now, the dog. I remember you said the dog lost game to Luther, huh?
Yeah. He see, Luther. He was a dog that it's hard to explain. I mean, you'll never see another dog like him. When people say, "Well, Luther couldn't beat this dog, couldn't beat that," if Luther put his mouth on you, you lost. That's how devastating he was. I never seen a dog with my dog. Bill was the owner, Luther Bill, was ready to pick up, because all he did was Luther just squealed. That's why I say I never didn't know whether he was game or not, because he would be acting like he's gonna quit. He didn't take to the fight, and he rolled around on his back and he caught a chest hold. And when he got in the chest, that was it. My dog could not hit in the corner. When I'm in the corner with him, I go to dry him off, and his chest was blue. It wasn't he didn't puncture, it wasn't no blood. He didn't puncture him up or nothing, but it was blue. He did his best to get over there in the count, but he didn't make it. And he died the following night.
So I guess you would say Luther was probably one of the hardest biting dogs to come across, huh?
And anybody else that's seen that dog was a freak. He was like I say, and the guy only that's the only dog here. You see people going around saying they got puppies off that blood. Luther never. He was sterile. I bred to him because when I seen the way he bite, I wanted some of that. Me and Bill remained friends all after that. That's the difference in people now. They got to fall out and want to kill one another after that. We everybody I went into, win or lose, we remained friends.
Yeah, the sportsmanship was high back then.
We remained friends, and
right. Would you say that, far as in reference to the sportsmanship? It was pretty high back.
Because it was no interest. People weren't interested in the gate. They wasn't interested in and how much money they could make on the door or refreshment. It was just you came with a 6-pack of beer or whatever, and that was it. What time to get in?
Now, knowing that all dogs are different, you got to treat them, different because they all different like people. What was would you, as far as building up wind, would you use treadmills, cat mills, or?
I have used mills, but I'm a firm believer I do not like mills. For one reason, it's not a dog. It's not a natural gait for a dog. When a dog is running in naturally, he's using all his muscles in his body. But you on that treadmill, a dog running like he's a robot. I mean, and when you put him down, he'll fight the same way. He doesn't. His muscles haven't been. I always use a bicycle, or Daryl used to hand run him. 5 miles around Belle Isle. He used to just hand run him. But I never liked. I had a turntable meal, but most I would use it for 10 minutes. But I did not like the results. I've seen a lot of good dogs that were better dogs in they roles than they were in the match.
Right. And when you said Daryl will condition, you're talking about your partner, the boxer.
Yeah.
So I could see like far as more, he did more of the conditioning as
Yeah, well he followed my instructions. See, Daryl didn't know pedigrees, even though none of that. But he's a boxer, so he know health, and he knew, and he would follow my instructions. And he loved the dogs just as much as I did.
Right.
And so, but he didn't know. He still was, before he played, he didn't know anything about bloodlines. And see, it's an art to breeding dogs. You can't just breed. A lot of these cats now, they just, with the internet, it's just a lot of just straight up bullshit, man.
Right. So let me say this. I've always been a firm believer in this because, like I said, when you bred the Struthers, and this is just a little info for any breeders just to come, any younger breeders coming up. Now, you've seen the results that, and that's what prompted you to want to breed the Grand Champion Luther. Was Luther's father around back then? Because being that what Luther's father was putting out, wouldn't that have been an option for you to even try, to go back into the...
what? I never checked into that, but see, I knew that you would get the breed, even if Luther wasn't sterile and throwing puffs, he would never throw Luther. You could never get Luther on camera. He was a freak.
Right.
That you could read a 1,000 times and never repeat it. Luther, and he didn't display any kind of games. I questioned his game, so I wouldn't have been the one. I would have bred directly to him just in the hope that
to get something somewhere in that class, somewhere in it wouldn't have to be Luther, but a good dog basically.
Yeah. But see, if you want to do that, you want to do it to a dog that he himself. First, when you breed, when I breed, I have to believe the dog's game. It's no other. I don't care what the performance is, but I have to have that up front. Or it's a waste of time. I just couldn't do it if I didn't think. I don't care if he was a world beater. I would want to see that in a dog. But with Luther, would have been the first time that out of just seeing he was it would have been a thing like this. I knew I could win with him. No way you could lose. But he wouldn't. I don't think he would have ever produced himself. I bred to him 2 times and no pups out of either. And the same bitches I bred, I got pups out of with different dogs.
Do you remember who Luther Sire was?
Carpenters. Shit. I can't think of it. I know Carpenter bred him.
And you, other than Luther, did he have any other dogs on the circuit back?
He had. They said Luther had. I think they said he had a brother, Duke, a dog named Duke. I don't know if that was a full brother or half brother, and he was decent. I think he made champion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think his name was Duke. I know that.
Right, right. And so when people look at these sires, how important you think the female is in the same litter? Because we always, put this high praise on the sires, stud at stud. But what portion do you think the female contributes?
The female, in my opinion, brings just as much to the table as the male or more.
Right.
You can't ignore it, either one. I had a female, and this is, we all like to talk and say, I ain't breeding to nothing but game dogs. I don't, talk about how hard we test and all that. I had a female that she wouldn't hit a lick at a snake, but she produced some of the best damn dogs. I don't care who I bred her to. She produced some. She was off of the old Charlie's, Keith's brother Charlie. She was off of that, and she would. I don't care what, but she would. She had never started. She just wouldn't start. And I, there's a lot of dogs on this east side today, or Detroit, that got some of her blood in them. And she was Charlie stuff and some Red Boy.
So
the game changed a lot when that Red Boy stuff came around, because people were used to seeing rough dogs fighting, and their end would be usually, you didn't never see the game that's displayed as much as when that Red Boy stuff started coming around. Everybody wanted it. Still today, it's a high percentage but now you can't go there with just game. You can't go to compete with just game. And then usually, I tell people, by the time you see game, you done lost. You know what I'm saying? If you have to, that's game. This is like your AAA insurance card.
AAA, huh?
It's good to have. You don't want to go nowhere without it. But
that makes sense. Wow. Yeah, man. AAA. Well, I tell you, but yeah. During those times, in reference to like determining the dog weight, how would you go about that? Because I know that's an important key to the success of a particular dog. Because you want to make sure he or she comes in at his best and strong. Come in strong at a certain weight.
See, my condition things, a lot of things go wrong or miss weight because of their conditioning plan. They're afraid to rest the dog. They work that shit out of them all the way to the day before the show, and a dog gets his strength from his rest. But I would try to by 2 weeks in, you should have your dog at weight.
Well, I didn't mean in reference to the keep. I meant in reference to like you finding out before you even put them into a contract.
Okay.
That's weight.
Well, and I understand what you're saying now. But see, with that, if you're looking at some of your great dogs or some of your dogs, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of times the guy on a dog never, by the time he gets through campaigning the dog, he's going to fall at 3 different weights probably. Because you never, know what's his best weight. It takes a long time to find, because sometimes you're doing, let's say you're doing him at 35. And then next time you do him at 33, you study trying to take him lower so you figure you had it back. But see, it's a fine line between that going over and have the dog with his hell. And then if you have him over, then you're fighting a bigger dog. So, that means a lot. And you got to be able to know. And then you go by the performance of the dog at certain weights. But most fast lane dogs, they do them at a different weights. About 3 pounds. If they do them in their career, it'll be different weights, because you never see the best of them until you done tried them at them weights. But sometimes, because you do them at 35, don't mean that's his best weight. He could be heavy at that, and you don't. That and you always strive to get him down to that fine line. And that's when it gets dangerous because you can go. There's a very little room to juggle with when you try breaking them down like that.
Right.
Everything counts then. The water, the food, the time to sleep, everything, the rest. Everything counts when you go to breaking them down like that.
Right.
I like to let my dog rest the last 4 or 5 days before the show. And I want him at weight then before.
Okay.
I just walk him out. For a lot of people, you talk weak. See, people don't know. You can if you work the dog properly during that whole keep, you're not going to lose that in a week's time.
Right.
But you can go too far with it, and you go in there and your dog can't. See, a lot of guys they work the dog so hard when it's time for show. Dog don't have nothing. He just lay on his back. He don't have the strength. He had air. He don't be panting, but he can't get up.
Right.
He stay on his back. Cause he don't be strong. See, that's the one part of the game that can't be sold in a interview, in a script or nothing. It's experience. You can only get that experience.
Right.
And that's the only way you're gonna know is to try it or do it.
Okay. Or if you're fortunate enough to have somebody with experience.
Yeah, or somebody that y'all see. The thing about these dogs and people, it's hard to find two people that mix together and be a partner or y'all work together because there's so many different feelings and opinions and all these partnerships end up being dissolved after a few years. But ours lasted test the time. We were close. He was like my brother, man. He was close.
Okay. I definitely hear it in your voice, man. Every time you speak about him. But let's go to the New York dog. Speak a little bit about him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what happened? I had bred Napoleon. That was out of Noonie and Hannah Patch. And like I said back then, I didn't have money. Daryl didn't have no money either. We always broke. But Daryl had, when I seen Napoleon was up for sale, I said, we got to get that dog, man, before he be gone. Because I had seen Napoleon in a little roll. In fact, he rolled against a old kingfish dog I had. And I could just see the quality and the difference in the two dogs.
Right.
And just the way the two dogs went. I mean, even though Napoleon back then, he was just a young pup. He was about 14, 15 months old, if that. But I could see the quality in Napoleon and the kingfish dog. It's just like riding in a Benz and a Ford. You could just see the difference. And so I told Daryl, man, when he came up, the guy that had him, I said, man, we need to try to get this dog. And I didn't have the guy wanted $400 for one. That was like $4 million to me. So Daryl came up with it one day and come riding with Napoleon in the back seat. And Napoleon was a great part of our fast lane breeding. He produced Outrage, Tony Rogers, a grand champion Outrage. That was also Napoleon. Napoleon produces a lot of good dogs. But get back to New York is that I had bred Napoleon to a bitch I had off of Brother Bill. That's the Jimmy Boots blood. The guy I traded a pup. I traded pups with him. He had the New York dog, the guy that had boogers. The guy Nick, his name was Nick, and we traded pups. And he sent me to New York. That's why I named he was living in New Jersey, but New Jersey didn't sound good for a name, so I said New York. And I named New York.
Okay, well, that's my home state, New York.
That's why I didn't name New Jersey. That just wasn't going to fly.
No, I don't. That wouldn't have had a good ring to it.
New York. was sounding good. And now when I get in New York, man, I was so mad. He was so shy, man. That dog was. I started selling for $50. I was so mad at that dog. But every time you pet him, he pee on you. Yeah. And I hated that dog, man. And a friend of mine said, man, don't sell that dog. New York was bred up there. New York was the Hank stuff bred back to some the Boudreaux stuff on the bottom.
Now, I just wanted, I don't mean to cut you off, but you brought up an interesting point about how shy he was, because a lot of times these days these guys want these really hyperactive dogs and, you know, everything grabbing stuff. Well, you said you had a dog that peed on you, you know, and through your, you know, I guess that was the first time you had a dog, you know, with that type of temperament or something.
But see, that comes when if you have steady mess with your dogs, you're gonna have dogs, and a dog could be easily ruined when you like that.
Right.
A dog, New York came out of his stuff because I spent a lot of time with him. You know, I brought him out of that shyness. You know, he was shy. I mean, for real shy. I mean. And he would aggravate him, but I spent so much time, man. Some of them would sleep in the bed with me, and I was close to them. I mean, they were tired. I had a little apartment I had. They were tired everywhere in the house. I mean, I had to get a sofa like every 2 weeks. They would tear up everything. One time they tore up the only pair of shoes I had. I am in there playing and barking and shit. I get up and chewed up my only pair of shoes. But New York was just super sick. Shy. But I worked with him and walked him, because I would get up and walk my dogs every day. And it didn't have to do that. I walked my dogs every day. And in New York, I brought him out of there. And then I seen that when it came to a dog, he wasn't shy then.
Right. You
know, he had tail would come up, and we started rolling, you know, checking him out as he got older. He was a beast. Mm-hmm. He was a beast, man. New York was a beast. And he was you know, we put him out there. We won the first one down here, I think, of Norrod, and we beat them. And Dan
Norrod, the owner of Champion Gamble, I think he owned that Iron Line stuff.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't his dog. It was one of his friends. He had bred the dog.
Oh, okay.
I never matched in the beat Dan, but we won it. And we won. We won up in Canada twice. He beat Champion. What is that? Champion Applejack.
Okay.
And after that, he was a 5-time winner. And so at that point, we had, you know, we were retiring. You know, he had won 5. Let me tell you this right quick about New York. We did his, I think it was a 4th or 5th one up in Pittsburgh. Man, we let New York on the release. New York was such a hard scratcher. He scratched so hard. He hit the dog in the throat, and the dog was dead. On the release. He killed him on the release. And I was just outdone.
Now, how far into the match was this in the beginning?
Just started. This is on the very beginning.
No, the reason why I asked that, because I remember, you know, I remember hearing of a match of a dog named Grand Champion Ajax, and Harry Hargrove had a dog named, I think it was Gus, and it was a similar situation where Ajax nailed him out, you know, on the scratch, and he supposed Gus was dead, or, you know, was something. So
that's how New York would scratch so low, and he would scratch right up into the throat, and he flipped him on his back when he hit him, and his dog pissed straight up in the air, and he was dead. It took me an hour and a half to get a turn to call him out of the hole, and because the guy wasn't decent enough to pick the dog up. It's just New York was going to quit, you know, in a situation like that, and he wouldn't pick the dog up. He left him on down there. some people, I mean, I didn't see no point in doing that, but he did. But then so that New York had made grand champion. So when me and Daryl made the decision to retire, and we had got off in the streets, we doing our thing, hustling, and we, and so the best place we feel we had for him was up to Frank Bunce. I know you heard of Frank Bunce.
Right. I've heard of him. Right.
Yeah, he had Bunce had 6 or 7 champions in his yard.
Was he a black dog man, Frank Bunce?
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking of somebody else then. I'm thinking of somebody else. But I heard the name though. But I'm trying to put a face with, the name. But I guess I came up. But I heard of Frank Bunce though.
Yeah, he had a lot of champion era. He had a bunch of champions, and he loved New York because New York. Frank was very instrumental in getting us to the fast lane because he knew all the top dog men. I mean, everybody he knew, and he would take us to the shows. Took us when Virgil fought. He took us up there when Virgil fought Little George. He introduced us to the fast lane. So he became, he became close to it. But so that's when we retired, it wasn't no problem. We sent him up to Bunce's. We knew Bunce was bored and breeding, but Bunce was like Daryl. He didn't give a shit about papers or breeding. If he liked the dog, that's all that mattered. So we didn't care about that. But in the meantime, Bunce then hooked up New York for a 6th fight. Without us even knowing it.
Without your knowledge, huh?
Without our knowledge. Everybody in the city knowing about it but us.
So, but when you speak on, you said that was you went to see Virgil. That was Ozzie Stevens' Virgil, right?
Yeah.
Because you had, that's why I just wanted to make clarify that because you got the Gamblers Grand Champion Virgil, but Ozzie Stevens Virgil, he was a Grand Champion also, right?
Yeah. Yes, he was.
And Frank Bunch, would you consider? Was he real active in the competition side, or was he more of a breeder?
Very active. When you look up in the things you'll see tons of dogs. He had, and he was fast lane dog, man. He wasn't no. Now, like I say, that's how we got to be friends because he took us around. He exposed us to the fast lane game. Because other than that, you just stay local. We could always go up to Bunce's on the weekend to see a match. He always had something going.
Right.
Always had something going. So, New York, that was okay place for it. Like I said, but he said, and Bunce would drink too much. He would overdrink at times. So they hooked up a match with Nate out of Chicago, old man Nate. You heard that?
Chicago Nate.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Nate is no pushover. Nate's fast lane for real. And they were late, like 4 hours late. For this, all this is secondhand information because we wasn't allowed. We didn't get the privilege of seeing our dog go. And then what? In the process, the guy that was handling New York, which he was a friend that we all supposed to be we were cool. He seen New York had a nerve coming out of his mouth from a broke canine or something, and like I say, and it was like a $5,000 forfeit put up, and he begged Bunch to take the forfeit, and he said he already got that. The dog New York got a nerve hanging out. Let's don't do it. Just take the forfeit and don't do it. Which would have been part of it. Me and Daryl, it never would have happened, period. It never would have happened. And then they went on and did it anyway, and New York could not even hold a hold. I think they told me he got him on the foot one time and the dog cried out. The dog that beat him for the 6 would have got stomped if New York would have been himself. But New York, he went out like a game dog, like a dog should. He died scratching. He died fell dead right in front of the dog. Everybody, they had people in there wanting to buy him to try to save him after the match. He showed so much games. So, but they had, and then on top of that, they put in the journal in the book that it was Bunches, New York, Bunch and Company. So I guess my name is Company, I guess. But he gave us no credit for the dog.
Wow. Yeah, right. It say Bunch and Co. Right. Bunch and Co. I remember seeing.
That was my dog and Daryl dog. I'm the one bought the dog. I'm the one named the dog. I handled him on most of his. I handled him on all of them, but that.
So would that name was it a few matches that went like that? Because now that you said that, I remember seeing that now and advertised in the journal back then. I mean, I think I've seen it more than once though. Bunch and Co.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bunch said, he only put that on the last one. He didn't put it in any other matches. I put it over about that. He only put it on that.
But I'm familiar. I definitely remember seeing that. I don't know if it was multiple.
Bunch never. Well, that wasn't him. That was his little cohorts. The guys that was following behind. Because Bunch didn't care about putting nothing in.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know Buster Reed. He didn't care nothing about none of that. So it came to the point me and Daryl were really pissed off. But we just left it at that. Because we know Bunch loved the dog. And, it's just something that in drinking and shit, he took it, and he never intended it to be like that. But, he shouldn't have did it. He didn't like to do it, but he did it.
Okay.
And about me, so many other his friends and stuff, they wanted to take the time. Me and Nora had different words about it on the phone and stuff, and he, because he was there.
Right.
And he tried, we ended up getting it straightened out, and we ended up on a note that everything was cool.
Okay.
But it's hard enough for a black guy to get credit in his dog as it is. And they do. It seemed to me like they just didn't want to give us a credit due with the dog.
Right. And you got a dog advertised on your, not advertised, you got a picture of a dog on your Facebook profile. I know he's mainly white. Which dog is that? The little dog you have?
That's Champion Scully. That was off Flash.
Oh, that's Ramrod Champion Flash? That's the son?
No, that's Ram's Flash, yeah.
Right, Ram's, not Ramrod, Ram's Flash, right. I got to make sure I just make it distinctive. Those are two separate dogs, man. Ramrod and Ram, right? And I think you told me Ram was one of your understudies also, right?
He wouldn't let me get rid of him either. Them guys, they kidnapped me, get mad when I'm the only one he ever let get anything off Flash. And I had two of them. He took one of them back. He said, guys, he was offering everything, and I was too old. I was trying to stay at home. I ain't trying to get killed out there in the street. And
right.
He would get mad if I didn't ride with him every day,
Right.
And he gave me two puppies, a male and a female. And he took the male back from me. And so I ended up with Scully, and she made tell me that was she was a hell of a dog. I gave her to Tony Rogers to go ahead and do it because I had got older then. And I think I won two, one with her and Tony championed. But she took, Tony loved the dogs as much as I did, maybe more. But he didn't know shit about conditioning, man. He had the dog. He feed the dog so much cabbage it'd be coming out the ears, and he just think a dog could just do a whole keep on nothing but cabbage and rice. And I didn't like that. And Scully died after that last one.
Didn't Tony Rogers pass away in the pit?
Yeah, in the pit, in the box.
Right.
I had to him that morning, and he said he wasn't feeling good. He said his head, head was hurt, but he told me he loved them dogs so much that he wasn't gonna stay at the home.
And to me, that's a rest in peace to Tony Rogers, but that's a prime example of I love them dogs to death to me.
Yeah, for sure. And they told it. Well, so now he at the show, and he getting oozy now, he getting lightheaded, and he said I gotta get out of here. And he tried to go. He attempted to just leave the pit, and they told him, Tony, you come out the pit, you forfeit. You know, he stayed in that till he fell dead. He would not forfeit by leaving the pit. And when he fell dead in the pit, his dog went on to win.
And which dog was that?
Tony, I don't know which dog they had.
Oh, okay.
He's matching other people's dogs, since I don't know which dog. At that time, Tony was just Don King of doing dogs. Then, you know, he kept the game on in Detroit.
Okay. And I think what was that? Ken Allen passed away the same way, right? In the pit.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. I never. You know, I've seen some of his dogs, but I seen that saloon dog. Yeah.
Oh, Grand Champion Tornado sire, right? Saloon.
Yeah.
No, was it Saloon or no? I think Saloon was. Butch was Grand Champion, double Grand Champion. What's the dog? The famous dog he had? Double Grand Champion Tornado sire. If I'm not, because I think Butch was the son of Saloon.
Yeah.
If I remember, but it's somewhere along the same line of dogs though that they came across champion. What's that?
So
yeah.
what line of dogs are you doing messing with now?
Oh man, I'm far away from that, man. I'm more into just the history side, man.
Yeah.
I got my first dogs from Grady Cummins. You remember Grady Cummins down in he had the Fork Farm down in North Carolina?
And that's boy stuff. What did you get good dogs out of that? I just never liked it. I don't know why I didn't like it.
Well, I was young when I got them, so to be honest, when I got them, I just got them. You know, my association with it, I was just coming from the Dobermans, and when I seen my first pit bull and I ran into Grady Cummins' ad in the magazine, I was like, wow, I seen the dog hanging from a tree, as a matter of fact. And I just said, well, if I, the way this dog is put together.
Yeah, they were so good. They looked the way they would put them in. They would be so impressive looking,
Right, exactly. So when Grady sent me the dog, and I used to talk to him. I was about 15 years old when I bought that dog from him back in I think 81, 82. Yeah. And he didn't. Matter of fact, he had a dog named Red Fox. If you remember that dog.
Red Fox.
Yeah, that was my dog's sire.
Stocky Bill. Red Fox had he real stocky, low to the ground like.
Yeah, he was an awesome-looking dog. I could imagine seeing him in person.
He had a huge head on him.
Yeah, he definitely did.
I like the way.
I'm telling you, when the first time I seen that dog, I said, I got to have one of these. And Grady, because I called Grady about a pup, and, he kind of, I used to talk to him like maybe once a week, and he had that southern accent, so I really couldn't hear him. But, back then we had the long distance, so I used to get a real crazy phone bill, about $300 a month extra with long distance fees. And, back then I had, coming from New York at 15, I was hustling anyway, running the streets. So I was, able to come up with the money to pay the phone bill for grandmas.
Yeah. But, back then there was a lot of racism in the dogs. Like, we had to deal with the whites and the dog, because they had all the good dogs.
Right.
They had the competitive bloodlines, and they had the good. And a lot of them, Mayfield, Kent, they once they found out you were black, man, they didn't have nothing. But you had to get somebody, a white friend, to buy a dog from them. They wouldn't sell you none. They would not sell you none. Now, when that drug money got in the game, when they started getting that high prices for them, they didn't care whether you black, purple, white, whatever. They went for the money in the beginning.
I guess that's when you're talking about the drug money, mainly as far as that crack era when it came in.
Yeah. But when they could get them regardless price tickets for a puppy, when puppies was going in my era $150 tops, and they started when they bounced up from there to $500,000, it was they did not hang up on us no more.
Right.
I remember Ram went up to Crenshaw's yard and bought $14-15 from him. Ram must have spent $20,000 with it, man. And he sold you some of everything, man. He sold him. He had the brother to Tuffy, Champion Tuffy.
Oh, okay.
I gave him the true colors. He was ranked Curve. He was so shy. He wasn't, and he sold a lot of stuff off of that what was that rascal stuff he had.
You know what?
Big Casey blood.
Okay, it was funny because I did an interview with Bob Finley, and he spoke about how Crenshaw always. He said it was a little inside joke between them. If Crenshaw was into selling goats, it had to have some rascal on him. So he was real fond of that rascal blood.
Yeah, and I did that. We never got. We had some of what he thought was the best of it. We never had no luck with nothing out for rascal.
Okay.
I mean, Big Casey was that rascal blood, and we got about 4 or 5 of them dogs. Out of all of them that he got from Crenshaw, I can't think of none of them. The best dog he got was what he got from Busenbar, and that was Flash.
Oh, okay. That's Don Busenbach there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Flash, that was a bulldog. I mean, a for real bulldog. Doogie, McNasty and Abraham, Joe Abraham, all of them got down, and they were call themselves pulling something over us because they had already put Doogie on the front page of the journal.
Right. I remember that issue.
And they already gave him the championship before he beat us. But they were just so sure that that's what was going to be the outcome. And when we got there, they had changed his name. They weren't calling him Dewey. They had changed his name. It was McNasty and all of them were there, and they all, man, I think we had about $10,000-15,000. One of the young boys that was coming with us with some money, and he got lost, so we couldn't bet that. They bet all they could have, all they could bet. They would have bet us a change on. They were just so sure of that win, but it didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. Now Doogie could fight. Now there was no question, but he couldn't take it.
Right.
He couldn't take it. He beat the hell out of Flash for almost 2 hours, and then Flash stood up and said, "Now it's my turn." And they studied, puts that stuff in the journal about Doogie being the dog. The dog quit. He curled out and was howling, and the guy hardcore, Mike, he asked for the courtesy scratch, but he wouldn't go. And but he made up all kind of excuses. That's what I didn't like. You know, he made up excuses that it was caused of the cold weather.
Right.
It was caused of that. Dogmen don't do that. Whatever it was, there for both dogs. And whatever it was, you knew that before you came. You know, so I lost a lot of respect for him as being a dog man to do that.
Right. Okay. Well, I know you told me earlier, man, when we first spoke on the phone, you know, I ain't want to interrupt your day, man, and you